like, you need to have investments coming into the city or even in industrial areas, then you need to have that modern image also. Because if why does somebody come to a city? He comes to a city because he's hoping to earn a living in an industrious way and also at the same time have life, at the end of the day. We corporates, we talk about work-life balance. So surely some life at least at the end of the work. So that is why social infrastructure, etc. everybody talked about. So that is the kind of, that image has to be possible. That service is possible, service is available, And at the same time, given the information availability, informed decisions can happen. And I think one of the critical points that are there is that any government office, you need some sanction, some certificate, any interfacing you have to do with government, a lot of visits happen. So somewhere if the number of visits are reduced, Sir talked about the birth certificate available digitally online. It's available in many corporations now, but the data has to happen, data has to be validated when somebody applies, the connectivity between the hospitals and the department has to be organized, data has to flow properly, and the citizen has to be validated, authenticated, then only that can happen. So many things, just certificate available can be very easy to talk about, but lots to do behind the whole thing to make it happen. So the reduced visits is one of the objectives that we had. So further detailing in terms of what exactly was the value proposition to beneficiaries, So what we've tried to achieve is, it's the whole beneficiary value proposition was in 5 parts. When somebody goes online or somebody accesses the ICT infrastructure of the corporation, whether it's a city corporation or a industrial development corporation, they should have a virtual consultation. The information should be available in terms of what is to be done, what is available, etc. Then a lot of times people don't know then what to do next. So the forms should be available. Forms could be available at various levels. You could just download a form, or you could fill up a form, you could submit a form, or you could even get a feedback. So we went to that level also in terms of submission, in terms of processing and tracking, and even online approvals. So birth certificate is online approval and communication also, but there are others. One thing we believe is that the paper is not going to go. The paperless government is a myth. Okay? So in the whole framework, we've assumed that documents are going to be there. Documents will remain physical level as well as virtual level. So we need to handle both. So when I come to the framework, I'll talk about that also in terms of what exactly did we do. So this is the kind of details we went to make this possible, and that's what framework tried to do that. So coming to the next level, what is this framework ecosystem we were talking about? So we built the framework to have a complete portal, citizen service portal or a customer portal or investor portal, into an industrial area. Obviously the workflows and the information decision support structure, and it had obviously since we're talking of portal, it has the internet and the intranet, so you have all those aspects as well. And the further in terms of various components, the components aspects of the solution, so that people can adopt. Some organizations are absolutely green, whereas some others are developed to some extent, so they can pick up the components and use. So let's try and understand what are the components that we talked of. So we built a component of citizen portal or a investor portal, where general public can access, the vendors can access, the departments obviously from outside also they can access, to the extent that when I get into details further I will talk about it. The approvals, a lot of officers now have various devices, so multiple devices are available. It's not just desktop or laptop, but the other devices also, whether you call it phablet, tablet or whatever, palm tops or whatever. So people can be able to approve on those, so that is the kind of facility we are giving through the citizen portal. And obviously field employees, So like I said, you'll see some solution components there, the file movement or document management, So typically in a portal, a citizen or a the prospective investor or even current property holder or a industrial plot holder can go online, register, and then whatever documents he needs to send, he submit the physical documents also for a service request. That's the kind of solution we're talking about. And obviously it does have the online payment facility, and people can even track their file online, through the web. If they know the number, they can know, because the whole department hierarchy, local office hierarchy is mapped onto that, and you can track the file in terms of where it is. So given the RTI, etc., I think that's some demand that is there, and this has been made possible here. So I'll just go further into details in terms of what is the component. If you see the extranet portal side of the components, we have something called a single window clearance solution, wherein we have about 30 services. Specifically, where I will talk about a case study that time I talk, but you can map multiple services, you can map it onto the hierarchy that has been built first, and then what happens typically is that the portal will have multiple colors in terms of the status of the service, and it has connectivity through the mail and SMS for people to know if movement happens on the file or the service request. So you have 4 colors, in terms of basic submission, draft submission. When the physical documents get received, then there's a confirmation from the officer, so that the citizen charter, in terms of the commitment of the cycle time for the service delivery, that gets valid from that date. So that is the second stage. Then there may be queries. The officers and the service request guy, whether citizen or customer, can query online. You can go on to his service request, send a query, or he can receive a query. He can come to know about the query on a SMS or a mail, and then he can respond physically or virtually. Okay. From citizen point of view, whether it's proper tax bill, water bill, etc., e-payment through BillDesk, payment gateway, plus other banks are coming in now to provide complete e-banking kind of solution to the accounts. So that is what is going to happen. E-tendering is very much there, and internet for employees, employee self-service that typically we do have in corporates also, that is getting implemented right now. So the intranet or the ERP or the departments that we are talking about, the coverage is the general administration or the HR, the finance and accounts, and I think all the functions are covered from the works point of view, because the hub, the accounts, is integrated with the revenue side as well as cost side, the work side as well. So when works are happen, works are allocated and the works are monitored, the works measurement is taken, and then it gets integrated to accounts and payment has to happen. And similarly, at the time of tendering also, revenue side also, when the customer comes to pay or when the bill gets raised, it's all integrated typically ERP. So all that is done. And one of the areas which you will not normally see in most of the applications is the incidents management. Whether it is disaster or fire, the incidents management is also each incident, each call is tracked, on the sort of. As far as the 2 parts is concerned, the intranet and internet, but I'll just get into the intranet a little bit more, because the work side, we have the works part. Work solution has 3 components in that: the pre-tendering right from estimation, the central PWD manual, as per that the whole processing, and as per the CVC guidelines also, the e-tendering guidelines, we have created the whole pre-tendering part, the estimation or the administrative approval as well as technical approval, etc., and the items also as per the manual are taken, and you have various years of data in terms of the items, and then it moves into tendering as well as then the work monitoring. Again, all the bills, the major work measurement, etc., is as per the manual. So that's a very large solution, and it has actual connectivity with the in terms of budgeting, from urban budgeting point of view, the inclusive budgeting is a norm that is really coming in a big way. So works identification, and what you need to know then the maturity in terms of whatever works have happened, you need to have inventory on that, etc. So we've done that as well. So the GIS aspect also is getting integrated into the whole thing now, so that you can track in terms of what work has been done where and all that. So that's the kind of solution we integrated with the ERP as well as the intranet, the service portal, and obviously other applications also integrated with the possible at various levels of service possibility through the service portal. Some services are completely integrated back to back in the sense that moment the application is given online, but some of them are not, because some of the departments are not connected to the solution directly. Some departments are connected. So some services are back to back integrated, some are not. Some only you can get a link into those departments and get some information, and you can download the forms, etc. But that is the kind of integration we are talking about. So that's the kind of solution framework is what we have, and it's not only for a urban municipal corporation that we have. It is also now getting filed as for a development authority or at a state level municipal councils. And one other abnormal value proposition, I will say, abnormal is because it is not normal from Microsoft, is that Microsoft has its own skin in this. Yeah, I'll take another 3 minutes. So we've tried to ensure that we build a delivery model for this kind of solution framework. We don't have just this framework; we have more frameworks getting built, and we have in various other areas also. So that's the abnormal proposition I'm talking about. Microsoft having its own commitment and time on this. So going to the next level of the case study, we have a state level cooperation. We also have other case studies that we can talk about, but this is the case study I will focus on today at least. This is a cooperation with about 1,600 crores kind of a volume and 3,000 plus workers, 200 locations kind of, So that's the kind of cooperation we're talking about. We're working with them for the last 3 years, and now we are in a situation where we'll change completely over to this. So the kind of modules we have is, you will see the urban modules missing from this because the typical urban services modules are not required for them, but these are accounts and finance, water billing and cess billing, because they also charge something like corporate tax, because they do give lots and whatever other services. Then HR, payroll, works management is a big part because they do the maintenance and the capital works in a big way. Then single window, obviously single window and the file movement. Fire, I told you, the insurance management part, and then the land, the whole board meeting booklet, etc. It's a completely internally driven central provident fund and PR marketing environment. So environment is typically, a lot of times the capacity issue in government is a big challenge. So you need to borrow the capacity from somewhere, but not just having capacity is enough. The commitment of that capacity from outside also is critical. So that was done here. So that's my brief presentation to you. Thank you very much.